Where you guys want to start?
I guess first, what do you feel like what could a win like that do for you guys at this point?
Hopefully give us some confidence, pep in our step, and then most of all, know why we got the win and what we did that enabled us to win and keep competing and playing at that level.
The defensive effort you got, how big was that for this team to see that no matter where you're playing, who you're playing, defense travels with you?
Well, I think defensively we've been pretty good all year. We've been top 50 analytically. It's been our offense and our rebounding. So the fact that if you defend and rebound, you're always going to give yourself a chance, right, Coach Howler?
Yes, sir. I'm curious. Obviously, that was a great win Saturday, but you've had two straight tough road games where your offense was terrible the first half and outstanding the second half. How do you explain that?
Well, the first one, Wichita State, you thought maybe you were just first road game and maybe jitters. And Arizona, you thought, you had 2 weeks off, so sometimes you tend to start a little sloppy after 2 weeks off. But I thought we'd execute better offensively first half. Proud of how we did second half. But with the 2 weeks, really 1 week of practice because finals, we thought we got better in a lot of areas. One, rebounding, one, offensive execution, and that didn't come across first half. Second half it did.
I think you got a win like that. How important is it to build on that against a really good TNF Austin team tomorrow?
Most definitely it's important to build off of. From the standpoint, you're only as good as your last game. Every game matters. And normally you come off told our team last time we snapped Kentucky's 55-game win streak. We came back and lost our next home game against Northwestern. So we got to be ready to go. And it's a quick turnaround. We traveled all day yesterday, got back last evening, so excited to get to practice today.
What's the focus of practice going to be like today?
Well, you can't do too much because you play tomorrow, but at the same time, completely different type of preps from the standpoint. Arizona's such a pack line, keep everybody in front of you type defense, don't let them get to the paint. And SFA's extend, trap ball screens, deny passes, so complete opposite type of team. So the good thing is by this time of the year we've seen enough different things that at least you've seen some team that's pressured like this before.
What have you seen from Shannon Bogues on film? He was a local guy, went to MCC from Clean. Was he anyone that you looked at and maybe thought about recruiting?
Definitely, and a lot of times you see people and you're like, they're good enough to play for us. We like them, but you have other people on your roster and you need a different position. And he's somebody that definitely could be playing for anyone in the country, and his numbers show that.
Scott, how much did Mark Bio kind of set the tone for that game?
I think obviously Mark sets the tone for most of our toughness things, but it was a whole team mindset that we were gonna try to be a lot more physical.
Jared mentioned that was kind of the emphasis. Was that particularly with that matchup, or was that just?
No, that's something that we needed to do because we have a bigger, stronger team. We need to utilize that.
How big of an inspiration is Makai? He's kind of hobbling around out there, but he plays great.
Well, we're hoping one day people can see him fully healthy because we know what he can do when he is fully healthy. At the same point, he's getting better condition-wise, better chemistry-wise with the guys. Last week was the first time he was able to practice, do some competitive drills.
He's just looking here at the stats. Makai's averaging almost 32 minutes a game in the 6 games he's played. That's got to surprise you a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And he's gotten more, again, better game conditioning and better rhythm and chemistry with the guys from that. And he's somebody that, as a coach, it's just hard to take him out because you feel comfortable when he's on the court.
Coach, you've had a lot of point guards that can score the basketball and can make clutch plays late in the game. Were there any positives you took away from what Makai did, being able to score those tough buckets later on in the game?
When we recruited him, we'd seen that up close and personal in the NCAA tournament, but more importantly, we'd seen it in scout before that. We'd seen it when he played at Duke, SMU, USC that year. again, it'll be nice one day when he's fully healthy.
Scott, you've had Rio back 3 games now. Talk about his development in your eyes.
Yeah, well, definitely he's someone else that's starting to get his rhythm now, starting to get his game conditioning, sea legs under him, and team's starting to get a chemistry with him, and that's why the last week of practice was so valuable for him.
Is he caught on to your zone defense schemes pretty good?
Yeah, because last year he was able to execute that. I think the biggest thing with him was the offensive rhythm, and then the game conditioning and game shape from when you don't play for a year and a couple months. That there's only one way to simulate the excitement you feel and adrenaline you feel in a game, and that's in a game.
SFA's won a lot of games the last several years. What is it that they do that makes it difficult on opponents?
First of all, well coached. They don't beat themselves. Very good players, and very, very tough team. It's a team that physically they're as big as strong as anybody you're going to see.
What's it going to take for you guys to come out on top tomorrow?
First of all, we got to have the same energy and same excitement and same pep in our step as we did against Arizona, and we need to execute better. You can't turn it over 20 times and be successful in the long run.
King mentioned that at halftime you're very good at making those adjustments, coming up with new offensive sets. That way the offensive side of your game is accelerated in the second half and you're able to pull off those wins. Do you think going into the first half that y'all are set when you're just being surprised by the other team and what they're doing? Or?
That's a good question. I think if you look, some of our execution in the first half, for instance, Arizona's first bucket came from Makai just dribbling the ball off his leg. And so now, why wasn't your offense good? We didn't give it a try, and we seemed to turn it over more early in the game. We settle down. I think we execute better, and then things become a lot easier. And again, I don't know if it's just the newness of playing. I mean, Makai hadn't played in 2 years either.
Seems like a lot of teams are focusing on Tristan, double teaming him and stuff like that. How is he handling that?
Tremendous. Against Arizona, he was really efficient passing out of the double team, and he's so good when you do guard him one-on-one. Constantly, we try to get him the ball as much as we can. And obviously, every team tries to stop us from doing that as much as they can.
Coach, you had a lot of roster turnover. Did it take you a little while to get the players used to just playing with each other?
Well, to me, that's why I said last week was the first time we've had the guys that we've actually played in the last 3 games in practice together and practicing together. So, Coach Haller and coaches will tell you it's virtually impossible to just put guys out there and say, play well. I mean, you got to practice. And when you practice well, then you can play well. But if you don't have a chance to practice them. So, we were just, it was an anomaly from the standpoint, you had so many new players, and then you didn't have Makai, didn't have Mario, and then you got everybody back, and we were playing so many games, we didn't have a chance to practice, guys.
Could you talk just a little bit, Scott, about what I perceived to be foul trouble so early in games, like Arizona was in a 1-and-1 early, and I was looking at the stats here, you're averaging right at 20 fouls a game. Is that just over aggressiveness or what? How do you?
I think early in the year, more fouls tend to be called. Then when you play more.
You're talking about the referees are tighter?
Yes. And I think when you get more later in the year, either you're saying players have adjusted or they're not calling as much. Normally when it's bigger teams playing bigger guys, they let you bang more. And I thought Wichita State, we weren't the most physical team because we were used to getting fouls called and we played a little timid. So I think I'd much rather be in foul trouble than be the physical team. So the fouls we got to get rid of are the careless ones. The hand checking is going to be called all year long. We had several that there was no reason to foul when we did. Didn't have any impact on the play in the game, and I think we'll get rid of those fouls. But everything else, you'd rather err on the side of what things are going to be like in conference rather than maybe what they are now.
You have 3 straight home games before Big 12 play starts. How important is it for you guys to go 3-0 throughout these next few weeks?
Well, definitely that's the preference. You want to keep improving. You want to get better. You want to have confidence. And at the same time, every game is important for postseason. So you got to finish strong and have a non-conference resume.
Earlier, you were talking about, really having to focus on the teaching aspect of practices, or make more of that focus. And then you mentioned a couple games ago, thinking you had a couple heart attacks there. The heart attacks lesson, are you past the teaching, you think, and more into the rhythm of things?
Well, I think the teaching kind of changes from game to game based on your opponent and what you have to put in. The toughest thing with a younger team is just the inconsistency. And that's, as my dad, who was here the other day at practice, said, that's freshmen for you or new players for you. So usually your junior, senior year, you're going to make 4 plays in a row right. Usually a first-year guy's going to make 1 or 2 in a row right, and then the next 2 you're like, what are they doing? So it's just getting used to I think everyone can equate it to foreign language. You learn Spanish 1, and it's a little shaky. By the time you're in Spanish 3, Spanish 1 is a breeze.
Scott, has Bryce responded to the challenge? Any thoughts on the Texas Bowl?
I think he's trying to find a uniform that he thinks could even be in comparison to the bright neon we had put him in.
Who would you say is your most improved player since the start of practice, really? From there to now, who's the most improved player on the team?
Well, everyone's improved a lot, and I think Tristan's really gotten a lot better handling double teams and what he's faced. As far as, Freddie improved the most from last year to this year, but I think everybody's gotten better. Like Jared, Matthew, Flo, Bandu. I can go up and down the list. And Mekhi, as he gets healthier,